Okay, so in this video, before we actually start learning JavaScript, I want to talk for just a minute about where JavaScript goes in the scheme of things. So we have a basic HTML document here. And if you already know HTML, you understand what all this is. If you don't, it's probably a good idea that you learn some HTML somewhere because JavaScript goes with HTML. They just go together, right? You're never going to use one without the other, so you really need to understand them both. I mean, you can get by without knowing HTML, but HTML is just so simple. We just have these opening and closing tags, and it's pretty straightforward. So you don't need to know HTML for this course, but you should probably learn it if you don't know it. So anyway, JavaScript is always going to work with HTML, and where it goes in the HTML, where in this file, down here, up here, that's important. So JavaScript can basically go three places. It can go up here in the head. You see this title, My Test Web Page? That is this thing right up here. You see this title bar, it says My Test Web Page. That's our title, right? So this is the head of our HTML document. Head stuff usually doesn't show up on the page. This one does because it's a specific one, the title. But most of the time head things are like meta tags and references to CSS and things like that you don't see on the web browser. So you can stick JavaScript up here in the head document. And I'll give you an example of that in just a second. Another place you can put it is anywhere in the body section. And usually when that happens, wherever you put it is wherever it's going to output onto the screen. JavaScript usually deals with changing stuff on the screen, right? You click a button, something on the screen changes. You click a link, something on the screen changes. You fill out a form and submit it, something on the screen changes. That's, like 90% of what JavaScript does, really. So let's say underneath this hello world, we want to put a little JavaScript. You can just paste this in. And again, this isn't important, like what this code is. We're going to learn about all this later. This is just a little thing to show you an example of putting JavaScript directly on the page. And you can see whenever you do this, you put your JavaScript between these two tags, this script opening tag and a script closing tag. And a closing tag always has this /. You can see like here, that's a closing tag, closing tag, closing tag. Same thing here. So JavaScript needs to go inside of a script tag. And you can just sort of look at this. It's saying get element by ID demo, which is this demo right up here. And it's saying, basically put this text into this spot. You see right here, we don't actually have anything in there. So if we save this and run it, just click reload, boom, we get I'm a JavaScript Pro. We can type stuff here. If we save this, run it again, boom, it still says I'm a JavaScript Pro. It gets rid of whatever's in there and puts this stuff inside. So putting JavaScript directly on your page, you're gonna do that an awful lot, I think. Another way to do it is to put your JavaScript in another file and reference that JavaScript inside of here. And to do that, we can just go to File, New File. We just paste in our JavaScript. And then we save this, save it as, let's call this, I don't know, myscript.js. And JavaScript files always end in .js. So if we save this, if we head back to our desktop, now we see this little JavaScript file that says myscript. And then whenever we want to use whatever's in this file, we just have to reference it somewhere inside of our body, wherever we want the output to output, the output to go. And to do that, we just go script, just like the other script tag, but instead of just closing it, we have to put some more stuff. So we go src, which stands for source, and then we need to tell our program where to find this. And we called this myscript.js. Since these two files, our myscript and our index file, are in the same directory, our desktop, we don't have to put an actual path, right? We don't have to go C desktop, something like that. We can just put myscript since they're in the same directory. Then we close it. And just like before, we have to close this tag. So we put the script thing there. Now, if we save this, and actually we need one more thing. We still need our ID field because this is just pure HTML here. So you notice it says stuff there. So now if we save this guy and run it, boom, it still says I'm a JavaScript Pro. What it does is it opens this file, it reads this in, it says it learns what it needs to do, and then it outputs it right here. So that's how to sort of access JavaScript from another file. And you'll do that a lot also, especially when you do things like jQuery and stuff. We're not gonna really talk about jQuery much at all in this course, but if you use jQuery, you'll access it like that as well. So like I said, the other way to do it is just in the head section. And usually when you put JavaScript in the head section, you're gonna use something called a function. And We can just paste this in here. And again, this code is not important. We're going to learn about all this stuff later on. But this is a function, right? And functions only happen if you specifically call them. So this won't do anything unless we call the function somewhere else. And we might do that down here with a button of some sort. And on click, whenever you click the button, it's going to call this function up here. So we don't want this to just run whenever the program runs. We only want it to run at a certain time, right? So if we save this, first it says stuff, we click here, boom, the paragraph gets changed. So oftentimes you'll put your function scripts at the top because you want them to load into memory before the rest of the web page. Again, it's not that important. We'll get into all that much later. So those are the three main ways that you're going to use JavaScript on a page: in the body, in the head, and then with a different file that you access. So most of the time in this course, we're going to be working just right on the page, just because we're learning the basics. But everything we learn on the page, you can put in its own file or put it up here in the head or whatever. So in the next video, we're going to dive in and actually start learning real JavaScript. Should be a lot of fun. And that'll be in the next video.